Hey guys, Toasty here. Just coming at you with some lessons learned or just some tidbits of knowledge from playing my starter over the weekend in the new PoE league, uh, doing Gladiator, Lacerate, Bleed. Not a build guide or anything, that'll probably come in a little bit after I finish out some of the gear. Just wanted to make a few notes that I haven't seen it too many people talk about, or maybe they have, and just my take on it. So, just the first one, real quick, is there was a bug with POB earlier where it was taking the shield mastery, 1% chance to block attack damage per 5% chance to block an equipped shield. It was using the 50% from Determined Survivor, where it just gives you a flat 50% chance from your equipped shield. Uh, Important to note, though, that your shield doesn't get 50% block from this. So in game, it's still using, from the shield mastery, still using the actual percent chance to block attack damage. So if you have like a 25% chance on your shield, you would only get 5% from this mastery instead of the 10% from the 50% chance to block from Determined Survivor. So that was fixed in an update earlier today. So if you've already updated, you might see your spell block chance, if you're running Versatile Combatant, go down slightly. So just be aware of that. The other thing is I haven't yet done it yet. I needed to get a few more levels, and I think I'm hopefully at that point now where I can probably do that. But I think, I don't know how that got allocated. Um, Weird. Anyways, so Tinctures. I haven't seen too many Lacerate Bleed builds taking Tinctures. However, I think because I see a lot of people kind of complaining about the single target of the build, which is very understandable. It's not exactly the best. I think Tinctures are going to fix a lot of problems here with this. Now, usually the way Tinctures work is it'll drain your mana when you activate them, and a lot of Gladiator builds, Gladiator Bleed builds, are taking the Blood Magic, which removes all your mana, so you can't use the Tinctures. But there is a new keystone over here called Blood Soaked Blade that will just use your life instead of your mana. And it's only 1% per stack, and so I think it'll really be more than enough to just turn it on very briefly, hit a rare a few times to try to fish for a very strong bleed, and then by that point the rare should hopefully be dead. By that point, if you have life on block from the shield, you're recovering so much HP anyways, to where the first few stacks of Weeping Wounds really shouldn't be too noticeable. So I'm hopefully going to give this a try tomorrow, and I'll report back on how well it works. But it really is quite a lot amount of damage that you would be enabling. Just the one that I kind of crafted here on my own was a one that gives you 120% increased damage with bleeding, but then also has increased effect with damage over time multiplier with melee weapon attacks, and that's a 40% more multiplier. So a lot of damage coming from this tincture. Obviously, POB doesn't support it, so I'll probably have to do some custom configurations just to try to evaluate how much extra damage it is. But definitely not too bad at all. So I think will definitely be worth the investment. And it kind of goes into, it puts you over onto this side of the tree. So one more point, then you have access to the suppress and this wheel node here. So it, unfortunately, I've really pressed for points in this build, I think. So even I'm not exactly going for spell suppression yet. I might if I get up to like 95 maybe, but I think it's gonna be pretty hard to get suppress capped otherwise, or at least very expensive, and it's just not a priority for me right at the moment. We are so tanky as it is, to where I think it should be fine. So Speaking of tankiness, I was running Jack the Axe previously, which gives you the Thirst for Blood, which gives you, I think, 200, 400 life per second per nearby bleeding enemies up to 5. And it's definitely very nice. It's a cheaper axe. I think I got it when it was maybe 50C. It kind of ballooned up to 70 earlier today, and now it's starting to drop back down to 50 or 40. So I think the DPS on this for the cost is fantastic, along with the regeneration as soon as you're starting out. If you're just starting the build, I would definitely recommend picking up a Jack the Axe. I was able to thankfully pick up this weapon here, Maelstrom Edge, which for only 8 divs, which really increased my DPS by quite a bit. So taking it up to a 1.8 instead of 1.3 bleed. So very strong there. So between that and the Retaliation coil today, that was where basically all my money went. It's not even a good coil either, but I wouldn't necessarily focus on getting the weapon first. I just did it because I felt like I was tanky as is, and it really, the DPS was suffering. So with that, I mean, even then, I think Lacerate versus Retaliation skills, again, it's just there's so many things you could put points into here. I think it would be kind of hard to make points into Retaliation nodes work a lot. Even especially with the node here, I mean, aggravated bleeding is just incredible for mapping, and the lucky block chance is like 90% of the reason why Gladiator is good. So just really press for points everywhere. I think Lacerate does just a fine job of clearing most of the time, so I wouldn't worry too much about trying to go into Retaliation. It's just some of the damage up front might feel a little bit worse. Now that my damage is starting to go up quite a bit, I might go into Earthquake just to help mapping a little bit more, and then switch back to Lacerate for bossing. But so far, it's really not too bad at all. So that's it. That's all I had for today. Just some quick tips and thoughts. I'll be posting some gameplay once I get rid of some of my really terrible gear here. I mean, really nothing too impressive. It's been pretty brain off this entire weekend to just kind of go through the league mechanic, which has been real fun. But once I get all this kind of upgraded, get some percent life block on my shield, we'll be posting some gameplay and seeing how that goes too. So thanks for listening.